Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Brew with Memli. I'm Mehmet from Memli Coffee Lab, and today we are going to taste side by side the same coffee brewed on the same device but with different material. On my left, on your right, we have the Orea ceramic version versus the Orea plastic version. The main difference, besides the material of course, is the bottom. On the Orea ceramic, it's one big hole versus a different organization of holes for the plastic version. This is the Orea V3, by the way. And we will be using our newest natural Ethiopian coffee from Bombay. So our newest coffee comes from the Sidama region in the Bombay district, where there's only about 60 registered farmers. It's just one variety among the heirloom, and it's a natural, dried, classic way on raised bed for about 20 days. The elevation is about 2,100 meters above sea level, and the harvest is the October-December of 2023. So we have really intense fruity notes, more the grape and blueberry side rather than a red fruit one, and some lemon candy and floral characteristics. For this recipe, I'm going to use 13 grams of coffee, 1-3, for 200 grams of water at 92 degrees Celsius. My grind size on my deeding is at 8.5 to bring out some clarity and brightness. And the idea is to really compare those two different methods. A little bit too much. This coffee was roasted light in about 9 minutes and 10 and 15 seconds with only 1 minute and 5 seconds of development time. So my water is at 92 degrees Celsius because I want, when I pour, to be about 91, 90 degrees Celsius, right? Always set your kettle about a degree higher because within the time that you are brewing, the temperature of the kettle will drop unless you have an insulation coat. I'm going to do three equal pour, more or less of 60 and 70 grams to reach 200 grams of water. My water has 50 part per million of alkalinity, 50 part per million of calcium carbonate, and 25 of magnesium sulfate. All right, let's start. My first pour of 60 grams at a relatively high pour. I'm not going to do any agitation, any moving here, just a simple pour, but at higher pour at first, and then I will decrease my pour. I will do and leave a classic 40 seconds of blooming. And it's a good way to observe how fast the flow is based on those material first, even though the material will mostly affect the thermal insulation, but it's really the hole in the bottom that changes. My second pour of 70 grams until 130 at slightly lower pour elevation. It's not an elevation, it's just lower scale. The advantage of the Orea is that slightly steeper wall that accelerates the flow. So you are able to grind a little bit finer if you wish so. But here, just pick the same grind size. Ideally, you always want to change your grind size based on the method, but for the sake of comparing, we need to fix our parameters. At about a minute and 30 seconds, I'm doing my last pour until 200. I like this coffee because you can really extract the different elements, whether it's the fruity ones, the bright ones, or the floral ones, based on your grind size, your degree of agitation, etc., etc. And let's see how fast and how they taste. This coffee is extremely clean. I really love how we find a good replacement of our Denche lot. And especially that we have one single variety for this coffee. Oh, we have almost the same time. So 235 here and 249 here. So a little bit faster on the plastic one. Let's smell. Okay. So that's something sometimes I have with my plastic Orea is a little plasticky taste to it. But let's taste it, and then we'll do also another triangulation. All right. So after a couple of minutes, usually the time to drink is double the time that you brew, so 2 minutes and a half, about 5 minutes. It's good to go. Quite balanced. Definitely a lot of brightness and some sweetness in the back, florality. So very, very similar to cupping, I would say. Um, even though, well, now it's hot, but on cupping it gets sweeter as it cools down, especially the berries and the grape notes. So here it's the same thing. It's first more the general fruit, and as it gets colder, it clarifies, sort of the clarity is a little bit better. So interesting. So here we have much more floral aspect to it, and but it's more the finish that we have a huge difference. Little drier on the plastic one. Let me check this one. It was much smoother. Texture wise, same. Really, there's not a lot of change in texture here. But because you have a slight dryness here, um, the flavors that we perceive are a little bit different. Remember, our concept of balance is how those flavors interact with acidity, texture, and aftertaste in the context of the terroir, which here makes a lot of sense because we have the berries, right? The fruitiness from this natural processed coffee. But we find also a very delicate floral notes because it's a very high grown Ethiopian variety. This one now emphasizes much more the sweetness, so it really showcases more the process. Um, and we have a slight dryness, so we may need to adjust either the recipe or the grind size to kind of mute down that dryness. Let's come back with some triangulation now. All right, we have our cups. One has a little smiley, and we have to find the one with a smiley. Let's put the plastic Orea, those cups, and the ceramic one here. Okay, ceramic and plastic. So from a first sight, I really enjoy more the ceramic Orea. Have not tried the new V4, so I cannot tell a difference, but we cannot compare the V4 with the V3 ceramic, right? You have to be the same. However, what is interesting is that, however, this comparison is not 100% exact because remember, the holes are different, right? So this is almost similar to compare a different even brewing device because even though the angles are the same, it fits perfectly. The material are different. We are comparing here not just different material but also different geometry. Always in that quest to discover which is my favorite flat bottom brewer. Still don't know. I think recently been using the April with a different recipe that works a little bit better than the origami. So I do prefer now the April over the origami. Once again, little caveat, this is using our style of coffee and I'm doing this experiment with only my coffee. I have about 8 different coffees, so it takes a lot of time for me to do this experiment. However, I will really love for you to do this experiment with different coffee, especially different roasts. I don't know how this works on dark roast or medium roast or even light medium roast. So whatever I say, just make sure that it's with our kind of coffee. And you can go and check online to see what roast level, what kind of roasting style we use. And we disclose all the roasting time and development time for all our coffee. So check it out and see if it makes sense for your home setting. All right, let's see. Yes, was a bit obvious. As it cools down, the plastic Orea lose a little bit of density, and that dryness is really there. And then we start getting some sweetness from the ceramic. Not as floral as in the beginning, but a bit more sort of balanced, and it resembles more the cupping than than when we tasted when it was hot. So, is there a difference between the plastic and the ceramic Orea? Yes, we have a difference. Is it based on the material? I'm not sure. Um, the ceramic Orea holds the temperature a little bit better. We have a slightly more extraction, but it's not significant in my opinion. However, it holds the temperature better. That is a fact. Now, it is not significant. So it's really not a point here. The biggest point is the holes. That's where most of the changes, that's where we can see most of the change with our flow and our taste. Because remember, water takes the path of this resistance, and here we have certain resistance with a different geometry versus here where it's just one hole. So that will be my 2 cents on the main differences between those two methods. Once again, we can always grind finer to get something different from the plastic Orea, or use a different grinder, or even grind even coarser if we want for the ceramic one. Of course, with a Seabury's filter, that will change the entire dynamic. But all in all, my personal preference will be on the ceramic. Similar with the V60, I always prefer slightly more porcelain or ceramic brewers over plastic or glasses. And that's just my personal preference, whether it's in terms of thermal efficiency or aesthetic or even flow. And of course, any method is good as long as you choose good coffee. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I've done this experiment with our Guatemalan washed, Wanda washed, now live experiment with our Ethiopian Natural. I didn't do that before. And I will do it with probably an anaerobic coffee, even though I'm pretty sure whatever works on washed coffee and natural, often you can tell even more on anaerobic coffee. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And see you next time for more brewing.